if I'm gonna be rolling this thing, I wanna make sure I come out of it alive. All right guys, a few people have asked me to do a video going more in depth on the truck itself. So I wanted to give you guys a little rundown on what I'm doing and what it had and all that. So I guess we'll just start in the back here. We're going with AxleTech 4000s, 2-steer axles. They're rear steer. These are actually cylinders from Dusty, my boss. So the way the rear steer works, it's on a toggle switch with its own pump and everything. You turn it left or right, and then after you let off the toggle switch, it self-centers. Going up to the motor, it's a 540 big block Chevy with a 1071 High Helix blower on alcohol. And then there'll be Lexan that goes in here, and that'll go right through for the intake snout. Going down, we're gonna do 5-ton drive shafts and got a monster truck jack shaft. I'm running an FTI Power Glide transmission. I think it's like a stage 5. It's the longer one, which isn't the best for this kind of setup because I would like my motor to be a little bit closer to the center, but it is what it is. I got the trans already, so I'm not gonna switch it out. It just gives you a little bit more clearance for your axle to come up, but it's not the biggest deal. We're gonna run it for now. Moving on to the cage area. You can see I added to the cage up there. It had one tube that came across, so I cut that out because it's a center mounted seat. So if it were to roll and the tube crushed down right on your head, that wouldn't be good. So I added those 2 tubes and then added 2 uprights. And then this tube was bent from a previous rollover, so I cut that out and redid that. It's kind of chintzy, and I didn't really think it was a good idea to have a chintzy cage. So if I'm gonna be rolling this thing, I wanna make sure I come out of it alive. So I added to it, beefing it right up. I also redid the whole floor. I made all these aluminum pieces, drilled and tapped the tubes in there, welded tabs on here. You can see them all welded on there. Up here, I'm working on my toe point. I just got that all tacked in. Need to get it finished welded, but I'm gonna wait till I got the shock hoops half made, and then wherever my upright comes down for my shock is where I'll connect this into there for some support and finish weld it all out. Got all my waterproof, it's all cut out and everything. Pieces are just kind of laying around. My next step is making the shock hoops come down, and I'm gonna start mocking up some shocks. He does have his own shock that he just came up with. His machinist is still working on it, so eventually I'll have an above all shock, but for now we're going to mock it up with these overtime CNCs. Front axle is the same as the rear axle. They're actually both front axles. So I bought all the brackets and cylinders and Heims, everything from Dusty, because he either distributes it or makes it. So he makes these real big steering arms that bolt on here. It's like whatever inch plate that is with 3/8 welded to it. And all these tabs are all custom, and then there's also some supports down here. So if you want to jump it, it's supposed to help it not break.
Later that same evening.
So the next thing to do up here is to add some shock tabs. I'm gonna come from this bar down to the axle. It's gonna have a decent amount of angle on it, which will give the truck some preload in the front and make the front a little bit lighter. We'll jump in and see cockpit area. Everybody runs a hot foot because the spring is on the inside of the truck. So in theory, no mud's gonna get in there and make your springs lock up or something, and your truck have, full throttle, and that wouldn't be good. So the hot foot is the way to go, and then it's got the little latch on there that you can pull back. I'm running oil pressure, water, temp, and then I got a tranny gauge too that'll go right in between. I'm running a B&M shifter. I don't know, some people don't like the B&Ms. A lot of people run the Cheetah shifter, SCS Cheetah, because there's no reverse thing in it. It's just, you can go from gear to gear no matter what. And when monster trucks are, riding wheelies and nose wheelies, they can reverse, drive, neutral, whatever, at whatever time. After I get it done here, take it home. I'm gonna tear it apart to powder coat in my garage. Since we're taking the motor out, I figured I'd put a smaller motor in and just go have fun in the woods, learn how to drive it before I take it out and just embarrass myself. So we're going to Rednecks, hopefully still here in March. So hopefully I'll learn how to drive it a little bit before then. That track's pretty gnarly. But yeah, if you guys want to see more, stay tuned and we'll see you on the next one.